How's it going? We're gonna talk to TunaChip. It's ringing. I wasn't planning on doing this stream, but might just randomly end up talking to TunaChip real quick.
Cut out sugar, eat more protein, wait 3 weeks and see what happens.
Yo, what's up?
Hey, let me full screen you.
Can I
You
see
know,
your,
I'll have to zoom in on you. So just
can
give
I
me a
see
second.
Your camera? You're live in the Smeth then.
I'm live in the Smeth den. You're live in the Tuna Tin.
Tuna Tin.
How have you been? I feel like we haven't spoken with voices.
Yeah, I've
in
been
a
meaning
while.
to talk to you more.
Yeah, I think you're a cool guy. So the fact that I don't get to talk to you as much is always a little depressing. What have you been up to? I've seen a couple of streams. Nothing in full.
Could you turn
One of the
your
main
camera
reasons
on?
being that I have not been able to multitask for weeks.
Yeah, I recently had to. I didn't have to wait a whole month to get my meds, but turn your fucking virtual camera on. I didn't have to.
Oh yeah, you're right. Hey, listen, buddy. I was trying to fix you on my end. I didn't think about it. Let me see. Check my virtual camera settings. Virtual. Okay. And how about that for you?
Good.
My face, my body, my lips, everything for you.
Yeah. I
wanted
wasn't
to make you
able to
look a
get
little
my meds for like 2 days, but like I get like right on that shit, and I like fucking do the fucking hokey pokey where you call every single pharmacy around, and then you call your provider, and then they have like an answering machine, and and you're like, please, just please, if you do, patch it through, because they said that they're available now and they have the pills now, but they can't guarantee they'll have them tomorrow. If you are by the grace of God able to fucking change the prescription location by that amount of time, if you could please give me a message back so that I know when it happened. But no, because they're so overworked that they can't give you a message back, so you have to just kind of keep calling the pharmacy over and over again to ask them if they fucking got it so you can go and pick it up.
No, it's a fucking headache. My girlfriend has her own medical stuff, and we've been dealing with, I don't know how to describe it. What's the term for this? There's a sort of like service hell that always exists, but there's a very specific type of medical service hell because all of the fucking secretaries, they're all overworked, they're all stupid. Even if they're nurse practitioners, they don't give a fuck because they're so emotional. They're nihilists. They're forcibly turned into nihilists because like they're constantly exposed to death and gruesome fucking experiences ambiently. And then you'll call them, and like my girlfriend's dealing with this thing called tethered cord, and I won't go into the details on it, but simply put, it's like constantly requiring that she gets very, very specific types of communication from one doctor to another because it's an occult muscular issue. So you can't just like get one person to look at something and be like, yep, that's a fractured bone. It's like a bunch of people look at it, there are different opinions constantly being fought and shared. And then she's like getting in fights with secretaries who are like, we just sent the thing over, and then we're like, okay, you sent over a description. I need you to send over the scans. Oh, we don't release that. What do you mean you don't release that? That's my fucking medical data. That's what's requested.
It's like none of them really know what the fuck is going on, and they don't. Yeah. Everybody's afraid to take accountability because there's so much red tape. So they're afraid to be the one to fucking take that step.
Scribbly said here, compassion fatigue syndrome. Did I ever tell you, or do you already know about how I used to work in a men's addiction facility?
Vaguely, yeah.
I did that for about. I did that for about 2 years, maybe 3. No, I think 2. I think 2 years. I was coming up on a 3rd year, and I was paid at first $12 an hour, then $13 an hour after a year with a raise. First off, that's the most pathetic pay you've ever gotten in your entire life. And I'm in Indiana, so I'm not like, it's not the most bumfuck place in the world. The people that were in the program that were working at Taco Bell and were working in medical manufacturing, like low barrier to entry level positions, they were making over twice what I was making at their jobs that they were working, that I was there. And it was not my main job. I did that job as a secondary job, 1, because I care, and then 2, because it was so easy to slot in because I was doing overnight shifts. So it was like, I can get extra work, and I can do something that feels a little bit meaningful. Convenient. It was super convenient, because I got into it because I used to do homeless outreach, and there's a lot of overlap, obviously, inside of these fields.
Is this related to the ADHD meds?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay.
I'm getting there. This is what I'm trying to point out, which is that while I'm working at that job, every single person in that program is on some weird. I managed, and I can't talk about anybody's this, that, or the other because of what is it called, HIPAA. But I had a list of I knew so much about every single one of these guys. I know all of their chemical cocktails, all the different drugs they're on. It's easier to get methadone than it is to get Adderall.
Yeah.
Than it is to get Vyvanse, because the consistency, the flow. Why is that normalized? Why is it easy for people to say, oh, because you're addicted to this substance? And I think it's good that people can get these things. I'm not arguing against that.
Yeah.
But then you look at people that are addicted to a function-born drug, something that allows them to have any mental focus at all. And we're like, you know what? You're just mad that you don't get your free meth.
Yeah,
people get free meth.
The thing that sparked this conversation is because I said that I grew up on the meth. I grew up on the fucking Vyvanse and the Adderall, and so it's part of my brain, and so I depend on it. But also, I don't think ADHD is real. I don't think we should have prescribed it. I mean, I think that I had behaviors and symptoms that you could just like categorize as ADHD, but I don't think it's like you were. I think if it's anything, it's your parents' fault, like the way they treat you and the way that you fit in, maybe what you're eating. I think I saw you. I wasn't paying attention, but I think you saw something about like that. But I think there's so many.
Yeah, but what I said is, if you get diagnosed with ADHD, the first thing I want you to do is to cut out sugar, eat more protein, drink more water, and wait 3 weeks and see what happens. I think that's a normal thing. That's what doctors should be saying, but. You know, people talk with certain levels of panic. Oh yeah, you've got your black girl hole magic.
Yeah.
You were here for the Indian lady.
Yeah.
I still think that's so crazy. I only bring that up not because of any one thing or another, but because in her cart, this is the woman passive aggressively asking me whether or not I need help choosing what hot dogs I'm going to buy. The only thing in her cart was cheese and wine. And I was not trying to be super insulting, but I'm like, you're a luxury goods shopper. Don't fucking talk to me about. I am scraping the bottom of the barrel. Not to say, okay, cheese and wine can be budget.
How the fuck can you help me pick a fucking hot dog, bitch?
Yeah,
you fucking
exactly.
Eat cheese and wine. The last thing on your mind is a fucking hot dog. Get the fuck out of my fucking face.
I believe that you want a fine smoked summer sausage. Shut the fuck up, lady. You don't. I am the god of scum. Indian on the outside, French on the inside. Sort of. You know what? Many people would say something about the demographic shift. in France, it turns out that the inversion is happening in America. The Indians of America, the Native Americans are not the type I'm talking about. I'm talking about continental. They're becoming very French, apparently, or at least the moms are. No, but yeah, getting back to the drug thing and ADHD.
Yeah. Okay. No. Statistically, Indian women are like they have the lowest amount of work to like highest quality of life, like demographic in any demographic in the U.S.
In India.
In the U.S.
In the U.S. That's interesting. That might be an immigration thing, just like you leave India.
Yeah. There's obviously a lot of factors to that, yeah.
But you know what my favorite thing about India is that women from India, women of the type of caste that talks, they constantly say like, oh, being an American wife would be terrible. Look, they don't even have slaves. They don't even have servants. They would say servants, not slaves. But we would say slaves. And it's just like, it's crazy thinking about the fact that like, yeah, a lot of the chores in India are not done by the women. They're not done by the men. They're done by the servants, by the help. It's weird to think about. It's weird to like look at that and that cultural distinction. And they're just like, a lot of them are also coming over here and becoming like, you know, working, you know, office hustle culture women. And I'm like, you don't understand some of this context.
Yeah.
Wait, what is this? Bastioni. Wowza! How is it you are a do on that which is this a day today? This is like a fedora tipping comment. How is it that you are a do on that which is this a day today?
I think that we are proving the ADHD. So I just popped on stream because I think this is a very, very interesting topic. I titled the stream "Junkies Talk About Vyvanse Shortages." Yeah, it's a great topic. Okay,
it's a great topic.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
But I think that like I didn't tell you I titled it that, but the way this conversation is going is definitely proving a lot of that.
Well, let's go.
Both of us are ramped up on Vyvanse right now. Both of us are on Vyvanse right now.
It's my first time taking Vyvanse in over 20 days.
I had to wait. No, it's my first time. It's my first time taking it in 3 days.
3 days. Oh issue. My God, yeah. We can focus. We're capable of it. ADHD. So what I want to ask the first thing, because obviously you get accused of being Mr. Girl Light all the time, and Mr. Girl has also said that he doesn't think ADHD is real. I'm going to summarize his point, and then you can make a distinction so that you can prove to the world that you're not exactly just his clone.
I'm currently writing a Substack post called Becoming Max.
Becoming Max?
That's my biggest amount of work. And you know what? This is the first time I'm going to mention it anywhere, okay? Secret information. I'm putting a lot of work into this, and I'm commissioning Shaylin, Mr. Girl's girlfriend, to do a portrait of me transforming into Max. And I'm gonna be... I'm not just like I'm giving her some extra money so we can do some drafts and everything.
Are you gonna make, or well, I guess you're not drawing it, and you might not be putting. You just said, do what you think will look good. I have to wonder whether or not she's gonna do the bimbofication meme, where it's instead of just showing like a werewolf transfer. Because here's the thing:
she's currently doing 4 drafts, and then we're gonna go over them and like make sure that.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool. There are 2 main ways of depicting it though that I think are funny. There's like the werewolf, which is that you have like you, but then you have sort of just like, because then you would just be the were-Jew, where you just like start looking Jewish in your face or something. That's what I was very thinking. Funny.
Okay, so the first thing that I suggested to her that I thought would be funny, especially because he's so hairy, is like werewolf transformation because he's so hairy. Yeah, but when she got back to me, she didn't list that as one of the things she was thinking, and I think the reason is because it might kind of look anti-Semitic.
It would look. You know the Joe Biden, when he touches a woman and she becomes white, he like sucks the melanin out of her, that cartoon? It'd be like a reverse of that. You would be sort of like, I mean, being imbued with Judaism.
I do also like that idea. Okay, I got a new theory. Okay, another tangent. Okay, but I want to give you another new thing. You're the perfect person to tell this. I have a new theory about the fucking root of anti-Semitism. I think it's that Judaism and Jews, and like people like raised in Jewish culture. Jewish culture it mixes well with Christian culture. It's pretty close enough, but the differences in it are like attractive. Like I think there's like a darkness to Judaism. There's a lot of Jews that are very critical of their kids, and so they have like a kind of like a dark affect, but they're still close enough to the same exact culture. And so it's like there's like a sexy quality. Also, I didn't know this until until the past couple years. I have just learned what a Jew looks like. So I didn't know what a Jew looked like, but turns out like I had wanted to.
Did you install a mirror or something? I'm just kidding.
No, but growing up, I wanted to look Jewish. Like the kids that I thought were the most
wanted
attractive.
To look Jewish.
I thought the kids that I thought were the most attractive were Jewish. Like I would when I was a femboy. I would.
Oh, you didn't know what a Jew looks like, but
yeah.
When you saw a Jew, your first thought was like, "Now
this person's attractive."
I agree with you.
So I think that there's a subconscious sexiness that we have about Jews. I'm
gonna disagree with you a little bit.
Okay.
But there's something there. Jews are an exclusive group. You can't simply convert to Judaism. You very much so have to be invited into it. Like there is a little bit of like the velvet rope. There is a little bit of the there's also the fact that it's like simultaneously an ethnicity, a culture.
You know what?
And
I agree, but I also no. Fuck that. I don't respect that
fuck
rope.
You, man. Let me have
now.
a fucking sentence. Let me have a fucking sentence. Do you have any fucking? I look more Jewish than you. So you should. All you did just now is say that I look like a sexier version of you. So put that in your brain for a second.
Do you?
Let's kiss. No.
I don't think you look more Jewish than me.
In certain pictures. No, I look super Irish, but I constantly have been told throughout my life, or been asked, but sometimes a question is an accusation, whether or not I'm Jewish, because I'm being referred to as swarthy. That's the term that people use, very popular one. Sleepy, by the way, attracted to both of us, and I know that Sleepy would agree with you, because Sleepy seems extremely turned on by a slightly Jewish-looking white guy. There are definitely people who have, and I think that you are of a category of person who, you went to art school.
Yeah.
You went and you hung around a lot of people that had money, and there was a lot going in that sort of was like, you're part of the in-group, you're not part of the in-group, right? Apparently, I'm a 4 out of 10 on the Jewish passing scale. What are you thinking about Smeth? Smeth, right now, looking a little Germanic, so I wouldn't go
I'm
totally
Greek,
for it.
Okay, I'm Greek, and the thing about Greeks,
Elbows was saying that he looks like a 4 out of 10. Neither of us have super curly hair, so that's a mark against. Neither of us has a hook nose. We both have very straight noses. I have a bigger nose, so that gives me some points.
Do you really? No, wait. Let me take. I have a big schnauzer.
My nose is bigger, but
no, your face is just smaller.
engage in whatever relativistic claim you want. All I'm saying is that you went to art school. There is a sort of in-group. There are associations. There are familial relations that already exist inside of that school. The establishment, a lot of people probably did know teachers and people. And so who's cool and who is connected, very often, yeah, it's gonna be Jewish. And people who are, I think that those things cross-populate, if you know what I mean. Like, you see somebody being popular, you see somebody having a lot of connections, you're going to think they're more attractive, and that's going to make you, over time, actually more attracted to them.
I thought this way before art school or anything, just like in my high school, just like the pale boy with curly black hair, skinny curly black hair boy, like that's like just like,
yeah. But you were quote unquote mentally in art school before you were in art school properly, right? Like, how long have you been an artsy person?
Okay, I didn't start really getting serious. I would doodle and I drew a lot in elementary school and shit, but I didn't get serious about art until senior year of high school, because I had a crush on a girl that was in all the art classes, And then I just, hopped in all the art classes, and I passed AP art. And it was a great year. I took nothing but fucking art classes for my whole senior year of high school. And then I went to art school.
I'm updating my title. So give me that again. I got distracted. It's my bad.
I didn't make art until my senior year of high school because I had a crush on a girl in all the art classes. So I took all the art classes and I passed the advanced art classes and all in 1 year.
So you had this classic pivot where you got into something because you thought it would make you more attractive to somebody, but then as soon as you start doing it, you're like, I actually like doing this.
Sure, but I didn't necessarily think it would make me more attractive. I just wanted to be around her.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I get what you're saying. Unconsciously, you probably knew that having the same interests.
She was into me.
But I'm not going to make that much of an accusation. I just stumbled into music and art without knowing that people made it. As soon as I learned that people make it, I was fully about it. I knew that people drew. I knew that people did doodles and sketching because my dad did that, so I knew that it was a hobby. But I didn't know that music was made by people. For some reason, I knew singing was people. I didn't know that instruments were how music was made and that people could play instruments. As soon as somebody left a guitar at my house, I started playing it. I've been making music ever since. I became very passionate about it very quickly. It's the main reason I had sex, not because it was so sexy that I made music. I think some girls maybe were into that, but it was mostly because it's the thing that made me do anything other than stay at home and play video games. Because once you're in a band, you have to go out.
Yeah.
And that changed my life entirely. But I know that up until college, I had not met a Jew. I had not met,
I knew them. So I was in a band in high school, coincidentally, and the drummer was Jewish. And I remember we went to do some jam. We only played a.
What kind of music did you make? We've talked about music a little bit.
We just played it was kind of just a jam band. It was for fun, really.
Yeah. It never formalized into a single aesthetic.
Right. But I went to his house to do a jam session, and this was this was one of the things in my big giant notepad of ideas that I might make a video about, but it's not that great of an idea. But I went to his house. It was close to Christmas, and it was during Hanukkah. And he was Jewish, and his house was way nicer than anyone else's house, by the way. And he had a pool room, to play pool, on a pool table, and we played, we jammed. But then when I was getting picked up, they started doing Hanukkah, and they asked if I wanted to hang out, and then I was like, I feel, am I doing something wrong if I do Hanukkah with you guys? And I was like, I don't know. I had just a strange feeling, this feeling, this family of people that one moment ago I thought were this just no different from me in any way whatsoever, and they're now celebrating a different holiday from Christmas, and I'm like, what?
I was completely shocked. Okay, so my first girlfriend was very wealthy. I went over to her house, and I learned very, very quickly, three main things. But one of the biggest things that I learned, she's not Jewish. She was Protestant, I think. But I learned things about rich people, subtle differences I had never thought about. Number one, I did not know up until our first date, where they made hamburgers for us, and we ate, and we sat down at a table with their parents and everything. They made hamburgers, and they were pink in the middle. I did not know that meat could be cooked in such a way that it was pink in the middle. I didn't know that you could have a hamburger be soft, because that was a random thing. And also, my dad seasoned the shit out of stuff. I didn't know that people ate food that didn't have a lot of seasonings. What I learned really quickly is that we were ghetto white and they were money white, and that she didn't know, and I had to keep it secret. I learned that all in one date. It was so weird because you would be asked questions by the parents.
Yeah.
You'd be asked questions I'd never thought about before. Why does number one, I don't know what my dad does for money. Why would I know what my dad does for money? I just know that he's my dad. And then it would be another one of those things where it'd be what neighborhood do you live in? I didn't know that neighborhoods had names. There were all kinds of little things that got dropped all at once. And I didn't know what any of it meant until I asked somebody later, and they started breaking it down. They were just yeah, they're You just are unaware of all of the things
Yeah,
that these
so
people care about.
You were like poor. I grew up in a trailer, but because I grew up in a trailer, we had a little bit of extra money until we moved out of the trailer, and then we didn't have any extra money. But wait. I have
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
to pull this back in. Look, we can go further, but there is.
I do want to get back to the ADHD.
Yeah, there is a big connection, I think, between being very defensive of your ADHD meds and having grown up poor. I think that there is a big connection there pathologically, basically.
Did you see my? Did you see by chance? It has like no likes or anything. It's a very small tweet. Did you see my tweet I made earlier today where I said caffeine was the drug that created capitalism?
I did not, but I think I've heard that before.
It's very true. And then the second thing I said is that techno capital is being made by Adderall and Vyvanse. Yeah. What drug is going to be the next drug to create the newest world? But like, you're not going to get all these people that are getting into AI and machine learning and becoming coders from, and this is important, from low economic backgrounds, if not due to the tool assistance of stimulant medications.
That's true, and I also think it's fucked up. And I wish that if I was not prescribed those drugs, I would have way better coping skills. Because like you said, you were like off of it and you couldn't like function very well. I think you might not be able to function. Sure. I don't think you would be able to function as well with the drugs. But had you never taken them, I bet that you probably would function a lot better.
I am a late prescription, way later than you. Okay. I only started taking Vyvanse I started taking Vyvanse, I think, after I started streaming. So less than 2 years.
I started taking them in middle school, probably 12, 13.
We have a much different experience with them. Longevity is one, but also I can tell you right now, I can function, but I can function in a very specific way. And I've always had a very different experience of life than I have ever heard from anyone ever. And I didn't understand what it was. I think some descriptors are accurate in that ADHD is not the full end all be all. And probably because ADHD as a capital T thing is not the right way of looking at ADHD.
I think number one, a lot of things, I think
number one, there are two key delineation. There are two camps that you get with ADHD. I'm not even just talking about ADD versus ADHD or the way that they've broken up, but I'm talking like when you think about a person that is likely to have ADHD, you have the constantly jumping from one thing to another, never finishing it, in perpetual redefinition of self. You get a very specific type of artistic person. Autistic is not even the word I was going for. Artistic. It tends to be a person who ends up like, you would describe them as artistic. They might not even be that into art. It just happens to be that they constantly are reinventing what their life is about. And then you have the other type of person who likely has ADHD, which is a person who has no ability to function at all. So they can't even start experimenting with new forms of uptake. You have these people who I would describe it as the true autism.
Well, but people like that ADHD. Though, it's complicated because people like that are also fucked up in other ways, and it's a tomato or like, but it's like a chicken or the egg, tomato before the tomato. It's, I don't know.
You've seen their houses, though. You know what type I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. But people like that. Okay, so just let's assume that it starts off like that. Okay, you are that kind of person, and it really destabilizes your whole life. You can't really do anything, and your house is fucked up, and it's every small thing is a big struggle. Doing your taxes is like like doing my taxes is hard sometimes. Like I just need to fucking do it, but like getting around to doing it. But for some people, like at my worst, it could be really bad. And
I need to watch like a 5-hour video that explains what taxes are. This is my worst thing. I don't understand how to file my taxes. I've never done it.
That's just an example. But I'm saying that like you are that person. You will like you will fail in life in ways that like give you more and more trauma.
Yeah, of course.
But so like that's assuming that's the start. But also I think that it could equally be the start that something else causes those behaviors. Maybe like I think that those behaviors are very avoidant, and I think it has a lot to do with developing avoidant behaviors in your childhood.
Maybe, but I don't know that this is the difficulty when you're saying behavior, because behavior tends to be this, and it really creates an ambiguity
The
between.
procrastination, knowing you have to do your taxes, freaking out about it, knowing you have to like watch a big video, and you make it into a lot of tasks like that. If you're like me and we're like you're connecting on this, like you make it a lot harder than it really has to be, and you end up doing it. You use extra steps because you're trying to do it efficiently, and you actually just fuck yourself over and confuse yourself.
If you're asking me, sure. If you're asking me, and I do know that there are some behaviors, and I'm not going to put myself in the descriptor of being. I'm not even trying to defend myself on this, because I will say, of course, I have a perfectionism that is attached to my ADHD. I have a personality that has been shaped by my long-term not being medicated. And this is one of the reasons that I think that ADHD medication earlier in life is actually a good thing to do, if only the supplies were stable. Because if you give people a extended release, or in some cases, non-stimulant forms of medication for the ADHD, these secondary effects that are really the stuff that is worse. I do think that most of the executive functioning is a learned avoidance. I agree with you on that. If we gave people medication sooner, if it was normal, if it was never something that you have to like scurry around for,
you wouldn't have gotten so much learned avoidance.
It wouldn't get abused in the way it does now. It wouldn't be one of these things where people are like, oh, I'm going to take it on this day, and then I'm going to skip it this day so that on that day I can have enough energy.
It really fucks you up when you do that, too.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I think it's
I
good
used
to take
to recommend
a weekend off sometime.
once a month off day. I used to recommend a once every 2 weeks off day. I now am a like every day at the same time truther. If you are ever not feeling experiences, I got news for you, buddy. You're not supposed to be. You're not supposed to feel it. It's supposed to become normal.
Yeah.
Are you not performing well? Then you have a conversation with your doctor.
If you're doing it without doing that, you're having like a roller coaster, and it's just insane. And you're really taking it like a junkie. Like you're not supposed to be taking it like that. Really. The benefit of not having to do crystal fucking meth is that it is so consistent. Like the reason that those like meth fucking sucks, and all those drugs like crack, cocaine, the reason that those suck is because you can't control how much you're getting, and you can't control the roller coaster. That's why that people on Adderall are doing better than people that are doing crystal meth.
Yeah,
even though they're the same. Pretty much.
We're talking about stimulants that are being regulated and produced with regulated, standards versus something that's not. I'll let you be loose with language, but taking meds like a junkie, no matter what your fucking meds are, is bad, because being a junkie is bad. It's a behavioral issue. It's much like anorexia or bulimia or binge eating. You shouldn't do stuff because it excites and tickles you. You should be theoretically doing things, and your doctor should only be enabling you to do things that create a sustained and self-sustaining way of living.
Okay, back to what you said.
But let's go. Before. I want to go back.
Okay.
Because you went so past the question of, and I still want you to answer to me.
Okay.
What does real mean when you say that ADHD is not real?
I don't. Okay. Well, yeah. Sure.
When real? No. I want to know.
Obviously. I think that it is like a real. You can observe somebody and diagnose them as having ADHD, and it is real in that sense. But it doesn't mean it's like a specific real, like brain abnormality. That's like, I think it could be a combination of many different things that lead to a certain behavioral and cognitive outcome. I think that a lot of it has to do. I think that it is a form of avoidant thinking, but like that's not even really getting at it. Like I mean, avoidant of micro thoughts. Just to
Before
not
we
be,
answer
it's
what
like dissociative.
ADHD
It's a dissociative, I think, condition to some extent, where you like to deal with things in your childhood and to deal with like ongoing things as you were growing up. You develop that pattern of thinking where you can focus on only the positive things that are going on you and not the negative things. And that made you able to function perfectly in that environment. Then you start going to school and it's not that way. And then you start taking the meds and then you go home and then you start like your parents are like, what's fuck who you turn into? You're speaking out against me. You're talking to me like this. You never talk to me like this. It's because you're on the drugs. I don't think I like who the drugs make you into. Oh, the drugs make me not avoid your fucking bullshit. So that's what's going on here.
Okay, let me address a couple of things because number one, you broke it into like 3 phases, and I hear some like resentments, and also not just resentments. There are also some like
Mom.
positive associations. Yeah, you got some mommy issues that you're going through, but come on, we saw those glasses. We already knew that. What we're asking, step 1, real to you is it has
Smeth,
a neurological difference. That's the type of real you're looking for. 2, you would say, even though there are a series of symptoms that are solved by the same, right? Hey, Mud, 2 fucking subs, dude. That's so fucking nice. Even though you've got 2, like at least 2 drugs that seem to consistently deal with the symptomology of this cluster that we have a name for. The fact that it's not a neurological thing is... Why does that matter so much?
Because I don't think that it is... I think that there are other things you can do other than medicating people. I think that the behaviors are indicative of a home environment that isn't ideal for your mental development.
Okay. Let's throw away this. Number 1, why is it worse to do it with medication than it is to do it with the other thing?
Because now you're dependent on a med. So had I gotten the other thing, I don't even know if that's even possible. This is like really like, you could have like God intervene, like, or you can't just force your parents to be like different or something. Maybe some people shouldn't be parents. So maybe people should be more aware of things before they become parents. So that's not an easy fix, but I'm just saying, had that magically had been the fix, I don't like that I am dependent on this drug. I don't like.
I know that you don't like dependency.
I learned how to cope with so I talk to other people with ADHD and stuff like that, and they'll say that, oh, I hate the drug because it makes my heart race and it makes all this shit happen. And I'm like, I learned how to cope with that when I was fucking 15 years old. Like you sound like a baby to me. And then they'll talk about the things that I can't handle, and they'll be like, I learned how to cope with that when I was fucking 15. You sound like a baby. Except I'm a baby when I'm off the drugs, and they're a baby when they're on the drugs. And I'd rather be a baby when I'm off of the drugs.
Okay. Is it accurate if I were to ask you the question, do you think that ADHD primarily society's fault, and that society should change in order to make ADHD or people who experience something that is being labeled as ADHD, do you think that that is like a better route?
I think that hold on. I think that rich kids with a certain good parent, like the best possible environment you can get, are going to be the most smart people. And it's unlikely if you're poor that you're going to be smart. And I think a lot of poor kids are going to end up with these ADHD symptoms. Even rich kids, it depends. It's really complicated, the type of things that can go into that environment that cause that to happen. But I just don't think that we should be medicating people to level everybody off. I think that we should make a better society to level everybody off.
I'm having difficulty getting some of these questions to be answered, and sometimes I think it might be... I can't tell. So you can tell me, are there some questions here that you just don't think matter? So you don't care about the answers? Or is it that
okay,
like
let me answer
I'm missing your answer?
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Ask me one more time. I'll try to be very direct.
No, it's okay. I'm going to write down these questions just so I know that I'm not going crazy. The first one is real.
Okay.
Now,
okay. I'm
real
sorry.
Real seems to be a moral judgment to you. It seems to be two things. One, you have a definition of the type of real that you think matters, right?
Yeah.
Which is that it is not able to be solved by anything else.
Yeah, so I think it is real. I think it is real in the sense that it is a cluster of behaviors or cognitive symptoms, but I don't think that it is real. Like you could take I don't think it's a genetic precondition from birth.
Okay. So it's not necessarily from birth.
Yeah.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
The reason I'm sorry. Okay. I don't need
I'm sorry. I want to have a conversation with you, but you have been ranting on these things, and I need to lay down groundwork. That's it. So I agree with you on the idea that you don't have it from birth. It's not like some other things. Obviously, people develop cancer, people get hit by cars, people have degenerative tissue diseases they get later in life, and we're okay with solving those. That's the most obvious debate bro thing. But I'm not even trying to fight you on this. The main thing I'm asking is, do you think the other thing, which is that we should only do a certain type of treatment for things that are in this gray area? I'm trying to steelman this, because what I'm hearing is that because ADHD likely can be treated with something non-medical, it would be better if it was done by something non-medical, because people will be less dependent. At the same time, you are asking people to be dependent on behaviors, changes in other people's life. Maybe changes in diet are very easy to take action on. But if it is in fact like being born poor, I got news for you. People are going to poor people have more children than rich people.
Okay, so
they love to goon out in each other's.
It doesn't sound like a clarification. It sounds like a disagreement, and I'm fine with that. But I'm just making.
No, I've got a couple of. No, that's the thing, though.
I think what was a clarification as a disagreement, so I don't want to look stupid by not playing it out.
Real. I said moments ago that it seems like real has two meanings to you: a moral meaning and another type of meaning. The moral meaning is what I'm asking about now. When you say real, there's an implication that not only the disease is not real, but that the method of solving the thing is what makes it real or not.
Right. Like, I just want to point out that I am willing to admit that it is real in a specific way.
Yes, but I know that you mean in the cluster of symptoms. Yeah, cluster of symptoms, we're past that. Don't worry, I'm not trying to fight you on that.
All right. So I think that it is incumbent on society to I'm not transhumanist. I don't think that we should all get body modifications to be the most amazing in every possible way.
Do you think people should be able to? Or are you anti-transhumanist, or are you just not transhumanist?
I am if there's no downsides, but I think there's always downsides. Like the ADHD meds, so in a sci-fi way, I'm sure we could do stuff like that. You get Fox McCloud legs, and they he can run really fast. But
what are the issues that you have with the side effects?
So I think that the side effects of the ADHD drugs give me major cognitive deficits. Having grown up on them, I've got major cognitive deficits. And while I agree with you, and I think it's very interesting that having grown up on them also gives me benefits, that you probably had a lot of deficits because you didn't grow up on them too. I think that that's also very interesting, and that's reasonable. But I think that if our solution to a social problem is to just kind of give people drugs that just fuck with them in a way that make them fit into a square peg, I think the problems with society, and we shouldn't have a janitor class that their kids are way more likely to be janitors just because they grew up poor and they didn't have this certain stimulation, and they watch TV as a parent and whatever.
Sure, but we do have a janitor class.
I know, but
some people are retarded.
I know, but those retarded people, I don't think that. I think that the kids
actually traditional terminology, front of wall. What do you do with the Walmart greeters of the world?
I think most of the Walmart greeters are just sad and broken.
You think that it's just okay?
I don't think they're genetically Walmart greeters. I think if you.
What do you do?
You know that movie with the black guy and the white guy from SNL? And they swap places. One of them's a stockbroker and one of them's a beggar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that if you took,
You think that?
yeah, I think especially as kids, if you took two kids, like a Prince and the Pauper, and you swap them, they'll grow up to be whatever it is, really, for the most part.
I disagree with the total blank slateism. I think that a lot of people go a little too far in like overstate things. But like, there are people who sans medication will never be useful to themselves or others.
I don't.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, obviously.
Okay.
Like Down syndrome. I mean, you could argue maybe they can make you pizza or whatever, but whatever.
I mean, they make killer TikToks. What if I would just like? I'm sure that there are some great Down syndrome TikToks.
Actually, yeah.
In fact, I'm going to put that on our itinerary for later today.
That sounds awesome. But yeah, I think that most normal people without some kind of like serious impairment, if you swap them into another family or like a well-off, very good parent, the most ideal parent you could have, their outcome is gonna be at least normal.
Okay. So can I try breaking this into two things that I think you have two things that you're accusing ADHD of not having. The first one is that it is not a neurological singular singular physical real. And I think that that's true. The other one seems to be that it is not pragmatically befitting us to treat it as if it is as if it is real. It's not a clinical necessity. You think that there are better options. Am I giving the right?
I think that to treat it the way we do is avoidant of a serious social problem, and it's like putting a really bad.
What's the social problem?
The social problem is the fact that we have poor people whose kids who are stupid because they're poor and they're abusive to their people around them, and then their kids are like that, and they're just like in a cycle of toxicity and poorness, and like giving that like them drugs to try to like boost them out of it seems like a bad way to do that.
But, and this is a tricky one to me, because if it does get them out of it, and it means that they are no longer poor, and then that means that their kids don't need the ADHD medication, because theoretically, if you're correct, these people will be born, they won't need it because they'll have better housing conditions. Isn't ADHD medication the best way to eliminate ADHD from this blank slateist point of view? Wouldn't it just be like the best thing we could possibly do is have one generation of coked up, super affluent, like financially mobile poor people?
So I think a couple different things. One thing, I think that the outcome of the person with the ADHD meds, I don't think that they're going to be an ideal parent, and their kids are not going to actually benefit from having that healthy parent who grew up in a healthy environment and everything. They're gonna have a parent that grew up in a shitty environment. They got drugs to boost them so that they can perform better in life, even despite all their baggage and everything. And the baggage is not going to go away. The generational trauma isn't going to go away. So I think it is just covering it up. If you want to have a good Jewish family with roots, okay, that you can like fall back on, and you know, like you got like uncles that are professors and all that, you can't just boost people out by giving them drugs to perform.
Sure. But we're also, Jewish has just become like the word for affluent in this conversation in that sentence. Like, they don't just become Jewish. And also, if anything, Jews have a lot of developmental issues that run.
True.
There is a genetic basis for a lot of things. But no, but not in like a retardation way. I think that you're kind of falling into the same pattern that a lot of people have, which is that other than a perfect solution, other than a messianic solution, nothing will suffice. Realistic, currently actionable, currently existent solutions are always not good enough because they aren't literally Jesus Christ coming and saving the poor.
Blow your argument here to smithereens.
Go for it.
Okay, so yeah, that's my ideal world. That's the ideal system. But also, I take the fucking drugs. I'm on them right now, baby. Okay, I
Sure.
don't. So it's just the world. Like so, I do wish that I hadn't been given those drugs when I was younger because I feel dependent on them. I feel like off of them I can't function very well. But also, had I not been given them, it probably could have come out worse too. And I don't really like this magical solution that I'm advocating for is like an ideal. I don't really know how to get that. I'm just pointing out negatives. I'm not really giving you a plan or or an alternative.
What if? Okay, so I want to ask a couple of questions that are tangential because it'll get me a suss out. Because you said you're not a transhumanist.
I'm not.
I wouldn't consider myself a transhumanist, but I do think that there are some things. You're trans-Jewish?
Yeah.
Shabbat and Shalom. Those are your pronouns. Shabbat/Shalom. Okay. If there was a genetic modification that could make it so that people no longer can be diabetic, would you be in favor of that being universalized?
No longer be diabetic?
You can like.
I don't know.
Your child.
Okay, I don't know if there are negative.
I'm saying no negatives. No negatives.
No negatives. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're okay with it being sort of like, just like any baby that gets born should be made. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Same thing with Down syndrome.
Yeah. The only caveat is with a lot of these types of things, I think Down syndrome seems a lot more cut and dry to me because of how it functions as a chromosomal mishap. But
Sure.
But with most genetic shifts, if we were to develop the technology to get rid of diabetes today, I would be apprehensive about it. I might do it to my kid, but also that's really scary to me because I don't know if there are negative outcomes that we are not aware of. Because like the fucking connection between the genetics, like any little thing could affect your immune system. It's really fucked up. Like.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I'll tell you right now, no piercings, no tattoos. I don't take any medications when I get sick. I usually tend to just sleep, and then if I'm given a what are they called? It shares a name. It's steroids. I'll take steroids if they're given for a very particularly bad disorder. But I'm also one of these people that is dispositionally chaste, you could say. I would like to avoid, but all the same, we are talking about like night and day, life-changing, economically beneficial drugs with very, very little in the way of side effects.
There is no ethical consumption of Vyvanse in capitalism. That is my position.
You're really taking the trans pill a little too seriously right now. You're about to if I learn that you raped ContraPoints, it's over. You're gone, buddy. You're scrubbed off the internet instantly.
You can't ever scrub me off of ContraPoints as cheats.
I'm gonna get us out of this little divot in the conversation. No. I hear what you're saying, but like I strongly think okay, so the main reason that I agree with you on that first point. We need to get rid of diabetes because a lot of poor people, they're gonna be poor for the rest of their life because they have diabetes.
Hold on. Well,
if you had a genetic, I'm not done. I've been building up to this, and you might even be feeling the sense right now because you went out a bit of a thing. If you could make it so that there was a genetic change that make it so that nobody is born with ADHD, everybody is born neurotypical, would you do it? Would you make it so that every baby has to be born?
I definitely said that I don't think that there is one that would work.
I know. I'm saying though that people don't have that symptomology. They are categorically unable to have the same symptomological cluster. I'm talking about we find a little thing inside of the genome that makes it so that the dopamine uptake of a standard person.
Not okay with it. You're literally making a fucking lower class, like bio class type thing happened where there's some random weird thing that they so just having an affluent family.
You're eliminating class difference there.
No, you're not. You're eliminating it in a because the way that you would do it is actually to eliminate class difference, not to change the genetics of poor people. Because I don't think it's their genetics that makes them poor. I think it's the environment. So I for the most part, I think it's their environment. So I don't think that with the diabetes, if you were to change people's genes so that they don't get diabetes, you're talking about poor people. I didn't know that's what you're talking about, because now you're talking about type 2 diabetes. So you're talking about making poor people have a gene so that because they can't fucking shut their fucking mouth and stop eating Big Macs, then they won't get diabetes. But
you think that's what I think it is?
The problem is the Big Macs.
Do you think that's do you know what I'm saying? If you make it so that people are resistant to the symptoms, if you make it so that people don't have the same dopamine uptake issues that are called ADHD, I'm doing everything I can to be charitable to make it so that you can answer this question. Okay. I'm pulling heaven and earth together for you. So I do want it to be taken seriously, because think about it.
I don't know. I feel insulted.
By the way, suddenly you're against genetically curing diabetes because, oh no.
Yes.
We would be giving the cure to poor people.
No, that's not why. It's because the only reason to give it is because of poor people, because they can't shut their fucking mouths and stop eating Big Macs. So what I'm saying is real solution.
True, though. That's not true, though. It's because they have a different. They process sugar differently. You saw the new Scorsese, yeah?
You can have a proclivity to having type 2 diabetes, that more or less of a proclivity, but
an insane variation in proclivity. I'm talking about we almost don't have natives. The introduction of weed, the changing of the food production supply line.
This is just a misunderstanding on my part, because I thought everybody had a reasonable proclivity that they could get diabetes.
No, the variation in how sensitive you are to getting diabetes is pretty large. There's a pretty substantial delta. There are people that are very, very prone to diabetes, and then there are other people who can process a lot more sugar. Okay. And you can definitely, no matter who you are, damage your ability to process.
Yeah.
By overtaking. And I'm not going to say that people can eat infinite Big Macs and never give themselves diabetes.
Okay.
What I'm saying though is that where the line is, how long you can abuse it, and even where that line is.
Okay, given that is what diabetes is to narrow it down to probably a bastardization, your tolerance to sugar, whatever, your ability to process suger.
I'm saying if you made
that
it
is the gene, that's probably fine for me.
I'm saying that you're resistant. You won't develop diabetes. Everybody will have. I'm talking about an equalizer, obviously. I'm saying if you made it so that, because I also think that ADHD symptoms develop due to a
genetic
polar. It's not a polar. It's not you either have ADHD or you don't. I'm saying that you have a sensitivity to stressors and you have a sensitivity to dopamine that is fundamentally different. So I'm saying if you made it so that everybody who's born has the same ability to tap into focus, the same ability to multitask, the same frame of mind that people that don't have ADHD have, would you be okay with making it so that babies are all born with that? You make it so that all future children
I don't think
are not saddled with those.
I think that the diabetes and the ADHD are different, because I think that you could take somebody without.
You're willing to take a drug.
Listen to what I'm saying. I think you could take somebody with
so miserable.
Listen to me. I think they're different, because I think you could take someone who does not have diabetes, has a very low proclivity to it, and you could take someone with diabetes with a high proclivity to it, and then make it so their kids look like the person who's more genetically less likely to have diabetes. That's so they can go to that's not a new thing that's being changed about them. So you're just making them have healthier genes. In the case of the ADHD, I don't think it is the outcome of genes. I think that the genetics of the person with ADHD don't look very different from the person without ADHD. I think that the reason is their environment and their upbringing and all that kind of shit. So all of everything that goes into environment. So I don't think that you're making their genetics look more like theirs and be more healthy. You're just fucking with it so that because they're poor, they'll be able to get through it better. And I don't think that's going to have like no negative outcomes. I think you're just like making more of a zombie and like less of a human.
First off, I think that people with ADHD are more zombie-like than people without it. And I'm talking before they are going through withdrawal. I'm not even talking about people with withdrawal.
Yeah,
I'm saying
that's what
that
we say
you are
about
talking
people. We say about the people on the drugs. We also say that people on ADHD drugs are more zombie-like too. And so, no matter what you do, like I'm saying, like we're introducing more zombification factors rather than give them a more holistic environment that enables them to not be a zombie.
What if you made it just, check this one out, everybody is resilient. I'm not saying only the poor people. I'm saying all people. We genetically modify people so that they are resistant to that environment, because that environment is not going to just go away. And also, we are talking about like a massive world where economic factors are constantly changing. If you just made it so that everybody is more resistant to the negative experiences that you yourself take a drug against your own principal beliefs because of the suffering.
I've decided how I will agree with you. Okay, I do agree with you. If it is completely separated from class issues, and like it is a universal, like all humans, we're deciding we're doing this with humanity, we'll be better off to survive in like future environments like as humanity. Yes, it's the poor people and we're all making this equal change to all of our genetics. But if it's just poor people who are more likely to have kids with ADHD or whatever the fuck, then like I don't think that we should just change their genetics.
I never wanted just poor people.
I know.
I don't know where you got that idea from, but it's fine.
Because if we're going, the people who are going to make the change most likely are, well, actually they're most likely probably going to be rich because they're going to be able to afford it, which is weird. But if you could just like prescribe it from the government, it'd probably be poor people.
Okay, Smeth, I got a question for you. It's sort of a Groundhog Day type situation. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You go to bed tonight. You wake up tomorrow. You are reborn in one of two bodies. Black or retarded? Which are you taking?
Black.
Okay. Now, I'm asking you clear here. Okay. Would you make a pill that makes it so that every person is born not retarded? Would you would you universalize a genetic modification? Obviously, you can't take a pill that changes the rest of the species. Would you make it so that there are no more retarded people?
Yeah.
Everybody is born mentally good.
Yes, but
right?
Yes, but that is autism. Like autism is not. I don't believe that autism is pure negative. I think that autism is like a spectrum that has positive outcomes in society, and that's why it's part of like. And I know you agree with this. So if you're including autism in retarded, which I mean you should, because having extreme autism like literally is you are very not functional whatsoever. But there are elements of autism that are good. So to get rid of it is maybe a negative. I think this is about mental illness. I think that like so if you were to go in
I just want to you wrap this up because we don't disagree that much. I'm using this as indicative. Okay. I think we both believe that the symptomology of race is less real, well, I had it written up before. It's less neurological than it is social and environmental. So that's why you're going to go with that one. Now, if we swap things inside of this dialogue, okay?
Okay.
Black or ADHD? You're either black and neurotypical or white and ADHD. Reborn. You get to be reborn as yourself, essentially, or black.
Myself.
Yourself. Okay.
But that's because I don't think that.
Tell me about your thoughts, because you've got a lot of looks in your eyes.
Because I don't think that in my ADHD is a genetic thing. I think it's a result of my environment, and I think that if I were black, it would be like a genetic thing. I don't think. I think like maybe one day I will do like a documentary where I record everything I do, and I go off of ADHD and like make like a big long form thing about all my struggles through that, and then come out the other end. Go off of my ADHD drugs. Did I say that, or did go off of my ADHD?
Yeah, you did.
And then I'll come out the other end maybe a little bit able to cope better and able to, or just how I'm going to just live in the suffering and the struggle. Or maybe
I mean,
if
I
decide not
hear,
to,
I hear what you're, okay, so, but we are talking about, like, and this is why these are different to me. So, like, black is something that you can't stop being. You will always be seen, but it is somebody else that is putting those conditions onto you.
Yeah.
By and large. Some of them are engendered by influence over time. But then, with the ADHD one, a lot of people don't know until they tell you. So you kind of get to hide it. Is that really the reason here? Is that you think...
That's mainly the reason, but also I do think that it is somebody else, in a sense, putting those conditions on you, but they're still hidden in their conditions on. It's like having a black brain, okay? Like your environment doesn't give you a black brain. Your environment doesn't give you a black brain. I mean, your genetics, your environment does give you a black brain, but your genetics don't give you a black brain.
Okay. Do you agree that your genetics give you an ADHD brain? Or are you completely against that?
No, I think
it seems like this is on a spectrum for you. I can't tell what you actually think about ADHD because of the difference in how you treat it.
I think there theoretically could be proclivities, but I think the extent to which the environment plays is just so immense. Even if you do have the proclivities, I think that better parents would have solved it. So,
do you think that all black children should be taken away and given to white parents in rich homes?
No, I think that we should make the life better for black people.
Okay. I don't disagree with you. All the same, though, we are talking about, like, we're talking, you don't have a super consistency between, like, it's, I don't even want to be rude. It just seems like because it is what you are, and because you want to feel like you have agency, you say, I'll take whatever the path is that is most noble. But if it's somebody else, you're like, you know what? I would love to have it so I can just get taken right away from them. If that makes sense. Is this not a bias of saying that because
that's not the thing. No, because
if
there's a massive difference between making decisions on an individual choice. It's like the difference that you have between conservatives and progressives. A lot of time, the conservatives are making all their choices and decisions on an individual on an individual basis, and then you go to the grand scheme, and as a progressive-minded person, you're thinking about everything in systems. And so, if you're asking me to make a grand scheme choice, I'm going to make the more progressive, affecting all of society. And if you give me an individual choice, then I'm going to make more personal.
But I have every time here asked you, and what I'm saying is whenever it is something that is you, even if I ask you for a grand solution, there's a massively different answer based on whether or not it's something that relates to you if it relates to somebody else. I mean, I think that you have a little bit of the classic Christian value of like,
I don't think there's.
I need to overcome my challenges.
I don't have a problem with having the contradiction of my personal decisions that I would make for myself and decisions I would make for so if I was black, or if I was black, if I was a woman, I would make decisions that would I wouldn't just martyr myself for some cause. I would try to have the best outcome that I could. For instance, if you're a woman, you can just not wear makeup ever. It'll probably be like a minorly benefit to all women that you don't do it. But if you wear makeup, your life will probably be better. So I would do it.
Can I? Okay, we didn't even finish the whole point of the black thing, and I feel stupid going on to it infinitely without touching on this. Are you? I did this because I assume that you are pro affirmative action, right?
No.
Completely against?
Completely
that's
against
interesting.
Affirmative action, yes.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's why you made that. That's why you made that connection. It's because you didn't understand that I'm also consistently against affirmative action.
You said some things before that made me think that you would be, but then again, you're an individual. You're so original and different than everybody else. And I don't even mean that as a sarcastic backwards. Okay, so. Okay, is there anything? Do you believe? Why are you? Okay, so. How do you feel about poor people getting grants, it not being based on race? How do you feel about it based on income class? Like a grant to school or a certain number of people from a certain home environment? How do you feel about that type of affirmative action?
That's fine.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. I don't just mean racial, but okay, so you do think that if a poor person a person that has setbacks, wants to go to school,
yes.
it's okay to give them the money to be able to go to the school.
Yeah, school, like that's like just financial aid. Yeah, absolutely. I'm pro government aid and stuff. I just don't think we should give it to like people of specific just because you have this religion or just because you have this skin color or just like whatever random thing. No, it should be based on the need.
But
but not job placement.
You just really, really do not think. You really, really do not think that people with ADHD in any way that it's the right choice for them to take the meds. You're taking them because you've been on them for so long, and it's kind of like it's too late for me.
No, but on an individual level, I think that they might be the right choice for you. like I was saying, I think it's interesting, like what you said about it maybe having negative like repercussions for you having not grown up on them too. And I think there's something to that, and it's valid, and I think it's interesting. So maybe you should have taken them, but I'm saying societally, we shouldn't take them.
Okay. How do you feel about what the what's your opinion on the ethics of the fact that you will say of ADHD that it's not real? You'll know that probably does create a sort of like ripple effect in the dialogue that could reduce people's access to the medication. You can mean it like you're advocating that people not think of it as other diseases. You're saying that it's not good that we treat it the way that, but then also you're saying, but I think on an individual level, people can definitely do it.
I guess I just don't think people are like I don't think too much about how stupid people are all the time, because I think that to take you off of it, you've been on it for a number of years. You just talked about how not being on it for like a month was awful. I just think
it's pretty bad.
I don't think people should be getting like hormone therapy for like gender, but I think that if you're on it, we shouldn't be taking it away from you. I feel the same way. I hold that. Just because I'm against the just prescribing of the hormones does not mean that I think you should take it away from people.
I mean, I've come to what my conclusion on this is, which is that I have a frustration with the way that people talk about things in this idealistic frame that can potentially make the world worse, because it creates these dialogues that say, hey, you shouldn't do this thing, you should avoid doing this thing, we don't need to help people get access to this thing. All the while, I, from a practical standpoint, think that one of the best things that we could do for financial equality, one of the only doors that seems to be open, because I don't think that there's going to be a revolution, I don't think that people are going to be better people, I think the only thing that you can do is create financial incentives for financial equality, and one of the best ways to do it is to make it so that poor people are better at working, better at selling their labor. They gain more experience so that they can then leverage that experience to get paid more per hour. They have children that are raised with enough money so that they don't grow up to be, mentally poor. Like, I'm not...
Yeah, I mean, I just like, I agree with you as far as the grand scheme, but, like, that whole part of the conversation is meaningless. We just completely agree on that. I just disagree on... I mean, I don't know about completely, but I just disagree on the fucking drugs. I don't think the way to do it is drugs. I think that...
But drugs is what we have in drug... Okay, what do you want instead? Is it just because it's the word drugs? I need to know.
No, it's not because it's the word drugs. I think that you're altering... Like, I told you earlier, I think that the person who...
Everybody's born perfect, and they need to be respected the way that they're born. Is that the thing?
I think that the person who grows up having taken the drugs and then has a family, they're going to be like, they're not going to be a better parent than their parent was. That caused them to have like poor brain or whatever. They're going to end up like giving the baggage, and then their kid's going to need it too.
Thanks for the bits, Admiral. I think I do think that money, opportunity, knowledge of what the inner workings of higher education and the inner workings of, good career-based jobs, and not just like the types of jobs that people that have ADHD tend to have. I think that knowledge will make you a better parent. I think that it will, I think that there is both genetic and developmental. We agree on that, although I seem to think that there's more genetic than you think there is. I do think that the best thing that you could possibly do is make it so that people are medicated so that their children don't have the symptomology. And then what happens is that the necessity of the drug goes down over time because the environment gets healed by the presence of the drug.
Okay, I think that theory is totally possible. And and so, sure, you might be right about that, and I don't know. Okay. But I might also.
How do you? Well, you would agree with me if I said the same thing about depression, right? Like.
No.
How do you feel about SSRIs?
I'm very against SSRIs. Okay. The
how do you
rare example. I'm very against those.
How do you feel about ketamine?
Ketamine, I'm not really familiar enough to tell you.
Okay, sure. But okay, theoretically, I mean, SSRIs, your issue is not with the concept of them, but the results of them. What you see in terms of the way that it changes.
The concept of them too. Like I'm against the concept of them, just like I'm against the concept of the ADHD drugs.
In what way?
Just
flat.
Like the kid is not like doing well in school, and they are unable to like learn so well.
I'm not talking about the kids. I'm saying that if you're an adult that has depression.
Right. No. So I'm saying that we're comparing these things. So in the case of the ADHD, I don't think that you should just start drugging that kid that's not doing well in school. I think that that's a evidence that they need more support, and there's something wrong in their environment. Okay. And similarly, I think that if you are depressed, then you don't you need to change your environment. You need to change your life.
I just think that so maybe we're getting a little bit out of sync with one another. I'm talking about adults taking the drugs so that if they have kids, those children are not raised with a parent that has ADHD or depression. That's the main thing I'm asking right now. I'm not talking about giving the kids the drugs. I'm talking about making it so that adults having children are not exposing them to the bad parenting and the bad environments produced by...
I don't really think that a methed out parent's going to be good, and I don't think a parent on SSRIs is going to be good. I think that both of those parents are way worse, by far.
Methed out, though? You know that it's not the fucking same. You know it's not the same.
I don't know, man.
We're talking about a parent that,
people watching this stream right now?
I mean, I am watching this stream, and... while I know that you've got the methamphetamine running through your veins, I'm making a clear point. Like there's so many people who could be making way more money, could be much more financially stable if they just had medication during those college years, stuck with college, actually graduated, got a job. Like I don't think that you're taking seriously enough the economic impacts of people with ADHD, like how bad it is for you in terms of your career prospects to be unmedicated if you're a person that needs it.
Yeah, I think that that's a social problem, and I think that we shouldn't...
You think it's a social problem?
Yeah, I think that we're letting people down if they are, they're not getting what they need, and then they end up fucking being, poor janitors, and then living in shitty, shitholes next to people doing drugs down on the street, whatever the fuck. I think that that is a social problem, and it's not something we can just drug people out of. I think we need to fucking do better for our society. People who don't do their assignments, don't go to class, are constantly late, can't keep a job down. So there's a student in your school that's not doing their assignments, constantly late, all that. That is a concern. You're gonna have to talk to that kid's parents. The kid needs help and is not getting the type of support, and they're not in the type of environment that's gonna enable them to thrive, and they're being failed as a child. Okay, and if we could do this really complicated thing that's abstract, and every single time that you address it, it's this and I don't think that by the way is bad. Solving social problems. But it's complicated. If there was also a pill that makes it so that they are able to focus, they are able to ignore the sound of mom slitting her wrist in the other room. You're alleviating the negative symptom of the social problem, which is the negative outcome because of a system of negative environment and factors. So you're not getting rid of any of the negative environment factors. All you're doing is you're just trying to make it so that they don't end up in the obvious outcome of a shitty system. If the shitty system still exists, and you're actually not making it go away. I disagree. I think that it is actually very clear to me
that environment goes away by them becoming an adult. They're going to get out of that situation by being financially independent, getting an education, getting out of that fucking shithole. You're not going to call it. Some people's parents don't give a shit about them. Some people's parents, honestly, you're not going to be able to make somebody love a kid in a way that is healthy all the time. But you can definitely make it so that they can get through school and be a functional adult.
Okay, so
here's
a hypothetical for you. Okay, I got a hypothetical. All right, so you could say that there is.
The answer is black. Black. I take black.
Keep going. Okay, you're on the right path. There is a cluster of behaviors and negative cognitions that we can diagnose, and the main, theoretically, the main people that we're diagnosing are young black people who grew up in single-parent households, and the cluster of people diagnosed with this new diagnosis, let's call it black anise or whatever. Okay, then the cluster is varies, but majority of them, 70% or something, are these black single parent households. And then you're a scientist, you're a chemist, and you've discovered a drug that will completely alleviate the negative outcome of these black people who grew up in single parent households. So all these people with this like similar behavioral group will end the chain of their struggle by giving them this drug. Or maybe the real problem is the fact that the black families have single parent households, and it's more of a social problem, and it's more of a problem that you need to address with more support, and they're all poor and whatever. Like, that's the type of thing.
Sure. I'm gonna give them the drug.
I'm not.
I'm giving them the drug every time. In fact, I would say that number one, I would prefer the genetic modification over anything else. Make it so that everybody born is completely immune. This is what I want. Imagine this. Imagine a baby that when it's born, you could stick a fork in its eye and it would grow up and have no trauma from it. That's the kind of resilience I want to engender into the species. And if they have to take a pill in order to have that resilience, I'm okay with a pill too.
Give them a pill.
I don't care what it is.
Yeah, so I think that the problem would be that we live in a society that's going to stick forks in babies' eyes, and that the real solution would be to make sure that doesn't happen. And I think that the pill that makes it so that the baby is resilient to getting stuck in the eye really just stops us from actually removing people who want to stick babies' eyes with forks from the equation. Because that's the actual part to remove.
Check this out. What if we had a solution where we can make babies' eyes immune to forks or resilient to fork trauma from fork stabbing, but we had no solution to the fork stabber epidemic?
We just cannot remove the fork stabber from the equation.
I'm saying right now we don't have a solution to economic and racial disparity.
Sure, okay, sure, but I think that acknowledging and defining the fork stabber as the problem is crucial importance.
I'm gonna define, for instance,
because you're defining the baby and their reaction to being stabbed with a fork as the problem, but the problem is the man stabbing them.
I don't think that the man stabbing them is not a problem. I'm saying that we have two problems here.
The problem.
We have two problems, and one's easier to solve.
It's not two problems, it's only one problem.
It is one problem.
No.
Babies are too vulnerable. That is a problem.
No, I don't think that they're too vulnerable.
That is a problem. That is
it
absolutely.
Is not. No, it
we
is not.
need Spartan children who can take infinite abuse.
I don't think I simply understand where you're coming from, and I'm disagreeing with you. Not like I'm trying to change your mind. This is a core principle disagreement. I just simply do not define the natural way humans are as a problem.
Okay.
Unless you got Down syndrome or something, that's a problem. But
I think that anything that you can change that makes your life better, that restricting it is stupid. And that and the act of restricting it, the sort of social phobia of restricting it, this thing, I don't know, that's like people
makeup?
who are...
So you think that all women should be wearing makeup?
I think that, if anything, people should do everything they can to be hotter.
Makeup.
I should start wearing makeup?
Yeah. to be consistent.
No, my girl's kind of into this look, but if she wanted me to, I wouldn't be against wearing it.
And then
I'm
soon
okay
as
with
everyone
taking
decides,
meth
and as
for
soon
my
as everyone
worker.
decides that men are not ugly, or that men are ugly because of fucking King James, or whatever the fuck, all these fucking young male fucking TikTokers doing makeup, if they fucking make it so that everybody thinks that men need to start wearing makeup to be attractive, then we're all gonna have to keep doing it, and it's a race to the bottom. We're gonna have to keep taking more drugs. We're gonna have to keep doing all these, like, we're all gonna have to have a big L tattooed on our forehead so that everybody thinks that we're smart, and that's it. But really, it's really just a race to the bottom, and we're just doing all this fucking shit for no reason. Because we think it's so impossible to change the actual problem. Like, it's so impossible for feminism to make it so that women aren't expected to wear makeup just so that they look like a fucking passable as public in the public. Like, no, the problem is the expectation.
Would you say the same thing about being fat? That people should just accept being as fat as they are, no matter what.
No, but that's actually unhealthy. I think that,
sure,
like, to a certain extent, though, like dad
bod. I want to actually walk down this. I can try something that's not just because I disagree with you on something core, but I want to get something that really gets to the heart of it. Okay, instead of fatness, what if it was? Okay, let's use femoid. She can't hang out with women because women won't tolerate her saying the N-word. Do you think that she should just stop saying the N-word? Or do you think that women need to just be more okay with her saying the N-word?
Honestly, well, okay, that's not a good one. I'm not going to go in the direction that you think.
Yeah, what's the good one for you, man? Because I'm telling you right now, what makes it a bad one? I want to know.
Okay, I'll tell you. So the reason it's a bad one is because I think that she should just find the people who will love her the way she is without changing herself.
I'm okay with free association. I tend to agree on that principle, but okay.
But it's not what you wanted.
You're pointing out the key difference is that it's a problem with one person as opposed to an epidemic. Because in the case of something like ADHD, there are tons of people who are not functioning well enough for the market, and the market is consolidating around. And between automation and just a less diverse job market, there are fewer jobs. There's more competition. I guess, in my opinion, anything that works, any solution that is present should be taken. And anything that makes you say, put it on the back burner, we need a better solution.
So with the
feels
case
messianic,
of Leah, though,
feels like giving up on the actual existent opportunity and value.
But the thing with Leah is, like, if you're applying that, then it's like she should, any opportunity should be taken so that the women around her like her. But, like, I don't think the women actually like her if she has to change herself so that they like her. And
I'm not asking for them to like her more.
I know, but what I'm saying is,
okay, sure.
So
Finish.
I don't think that I don't think you fit into society better if you take the drug to fit into society. I think that you equally fit poorly into society if you have to take the drug.
It's a little bit different though, because with ADHD, we are actually changing the experiential. Like, what if Leah could take a drug call it, you know how there are antipsychotics? This one would be like an anti-racism pill. If she could take a medication that just makes her stop having the impulse to say the N-word, the impulse to say retarded, something that is like an anti-edge pill. Just in general, something that gives that social cohesion.
She should never fucking take it. It would kill her.
She should never take it.
It would kill her. It would be the worst. No. It would ruin everything beautiful about her.
I mean, that's our opinion. But, like, if she wanted to, and it gave her some kind of, like, access to something socially, and she made the choice between it.
It would be a shame if she wanted to, is the thing. So like I said, on the personal level, like, so if I'm her and, like, I want to, it makes sense to do it. But I think from a, like...
Instant overdose. Sorry. That's so funny.
From an outside perspective, I think it is a shame if she wants to do it. If her environment makes her want to do that. If her environment makes her want to take a pill so that she can be a better destiny orbiter, that's horrible. Yeah, you know what? That sounds horrible.
I kind of don't agree because
Okay.
well, I mean, I think that everybody gets to make that choice. But I am coming up on like our values difference, which is that you really want people to be accepted for who they are with as minimal changes to who they are as possible. And I don't care. I want people to get along. And if that means that some people who have a mental difference that requires them either be more accepted by a society that has no financial imperative or reason
Sure.
to care about them and be
Mental
kind to them,
difference, though,
or they can just take a pill. I'm taking that blue pill, bro. I'm taking.
But just to be clear, mental
You are
difference.
too.
When we say
And this is the
mental
thing that's
difference,
crazy.
mental difference, I'm defining the mental difference as mostly a result of environment.
Okay, so you think that you're taking a medication right now that mostly cures you of environmental issues?
Yeah, now I'm dependent on it, and I think to get off it would take multiple years to learn the coping mechanisms I didn't learn as a kid. I probably I may even be stuck forever.
Based. That's good because the more people taking Vyvanse, the more safe that environment is. The more likely that I am going to have affordable Vyvanse. So you know what? This is my secret agenda the whole time. I need everybody that can be taking Vyvanse to be taking Vyvanse. So those who do need to take Vyvanse have the highest stability, market stability in its price. Maybe that's you should be taking Vyvanse in solidarity. Don't you know?
Yeah, as soon as you enter the Smeth den, you need to like fucking take a little lick.
That's the thing. College students, I like that they are artificially boosting the market communication of how much Vyvanse is needed in the market. What we need, above all, is we need more Smeth heads. You're gonna love that one. We need more Smeth heads, and we need more Vyvanse addicts. I mean, I'm satirizing the natural conclusions of my own position, and I see why you don't like. I'm more practical, but I'm also, as you would say, probably. I'm more practical in my word and less willing to be optimistic in my word. But you also are just as practical in behavior. You're also taking the pill. You're not pandering for it to be made illegal. So it's not the worst thing in the world.
I just rhetorically come from a different place, sort of. I think. Rhetorically, I come from a place of more optimism and idealism.
Do you think that we'll ever live in a perfect world?
No, but I think you just have to I think that when you're talking about these issues and stuff, I think to completely drop the idealistic attitude is just like you are putting the Overton window in such a horrible place. If you actually think that this is what the ideal world would look like not just to like artificially displace it. I'm saying if you actually think that this is what your ideal world should look like, you should start there in the conversation. You know, and if we're just...
I'm telling you right now, I think we think the same thing about one another's position. I think that your position pushes the Overton window in a place where the people who are most vulnerable are not able to access their drugs.
I'm just saying I actually think that, so why would I not advocate for it even if I think it's not practical? Or like as far as like communication and like, you know, discourse, dialect.
Sure. I guess I can say the same thing right back to you, you know? I actually believe that, well, I mean, I've got a whole bunch of things. Number one, I think that like the whole point of life is work and labor and production. Mm-hmm. Like I'm very materialist. I don't think that there's a spiritual nature to life. I think that life is really just about like...
I think there is one. If you think that, I think you do think there's a spiritual nature to life. If you think that the life is about work.
Why do you think I think that?
Because you're putting a lot of extra baggage on work that I don't think is real.
I should say labor instead of work for whatever it's worth. But I mean, like, I'm talking about people have a drive to do drive to create. We have these insecurities about ourselves, and like I'm talking very much so. There are desires. There are material factors, and we have two choices. We can either stifle those desires, or we can increase people's ability. But people who are in the situation of ADHD are in one or the other. If we wanted to, you know what a great solution to the sort of reduction sensitivity that people with ADHD have is putting a rope around their neck and dying. Like a lot of people will be perpetually insecure, but I don't. And this is me agreeing with you. I don't want people to do that. I think that there is something better than just like submitting to the insecurity and saying, you know what, I give up. And I think that between the two practical solutions, either the entire world moves heaven and earth, or this one person who has an insecurity takes accountability, puts a pill in their mouth, and then becomes a better worker. It's the latter, man. I take the latter every time.
Well, yeah, because like the solution, especially like, I don't know, if you're 30 years old, what are you gonna do? Have another childhood? What are you gonna do? Like, you're
not gonna have another childhood, and you are gonna die.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So yeah, from that sense, yes. But so that's why I take the drugs, and going to probably until I die. But if my kid, I don't know how I feel if I had a kid.
You don't know how you would feel if you have a kid, or you don't know if you're going to have a kid?
I'm unsettled on this type of question regarding parenting.
You want to talk about kids for a little bit? I'd like to.
Not really.
I'd like to give you an opportunity to jump off here because I feel like you've been slowing down as if it's about to end, but I can't tell if that's true.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I feel like we're like coming to.
You're trying to close it? Okay, cool. I was too because I got signals from you and we were going back and forth with that.
Well, thank you for not raping me.
You know what? Not so fast.
Okay.
Don't thank me ahead of schedule.
Okay.
We can call it there. I think that we've settled what the disagreement is. I'm just telling you right now. I think a lot of people get trapped in, and you might not even. It's not like just because you have this opinion about this that it transfers onto anything. But this is my least favorite tendency. This messianic. Like the only thing that I can talk about, is the absolute ideal, not the best of the current available options.
It's actually the opposite. I've chosen to talk about the ideal, and if I was like a legislator or something, I would be talking way more practically. And if I'm talking, because I was talking to this guy Drew about some politics of the Super Smash Brothers like community, and he's trying to like negotiate some changes over there. It's interesting. Anyway, I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but I was having two conversations. I was saying practically, I think like what you're doing makes perfect sense, but ideologically, philosophically, I actually disagree with this. But I would go along if it was practical. Like if I was in your situation, it makes sense that you're like doing this, and that might be what I would do too. So I just
and obviously the same. You agree because you are in the same situation as me, and you do take the meds.
Yes.
You're in a slightly different.
Yes.
You're in perhaps a worse situation than me.
Maybe.
Did you end up getting do you still? I remember you went looking for a job. Do you have a day job?
Yeah.
At some point, maybe it's not you. Somebody recently. Did you recently switch to a bigger job? Because you had a stream where you said that you hate your job. You hate.
Yeah, I just applied to work at some gyms, and I actually might try to become a personal trainer.
Becoming Max.
This is just okay. Look,
you're Carson Maxing.
This is not. Look, This has nothing to fucking do with him. It's just a fucking sweet job, okay?
Wait, hold on. I have to ask you a question, Smeth, and you have to answer it honestly.
What?
Are you abusing Shaylin?
Yes. Because I am
proud of you, buddy.
Making her make stupid drawings of me turning into her boyfriend.
It's gonna be that is probably the weirdest commission I've ever heard of.
It's great.
A transformation into your boyfriend as a person who is like a small content creator that is borderline obsessed with their relationship. To be like, can you? It'd be kind of like if you went up to your mom and gave her like a cartoon drawing and she was like, "What's this, honey?" And you said, it's me killing dad and then sleeping
I'm the one who did
sleeping with you in the bed instead of him. It's very audible.
I replaced Lab's face with my face. Remember that?
No, that's good. I think that's a wait. In which picture?
It was a family portrait that they did of Lab, Shaylin, and Max. And yeah. There's a story behind it, but whatever.
It's what it is. You're bowing out. I'm gonna try and use the next hour to do a little bit of stuff. Do you want to give people a shout out? Are you still? Okay, I mean, you're working on one video. What are you doing content wise? Because I see you do conversations. You go live on streams with people doing one-on-one talks, and that's always been the content.
Yeah.
But you haven't made a video in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple things going on. I'm right now. I'm just focusing on this essay. Okay. But there's like a lot of video element to it too. Then I also am working on a rap song called "Sexual Retard," and that's I got a lot of that written out. Mm-hmm. I have a couple video ideas. I have a comedy video that's like mostly finished, but I just never get around to like finishing it because I just not. But it would be pretty funny. I guess
the main reason I check in is because it's been a while. You stopped making your lower effort content kind of right after you started being called a hobbyist by Chud Logic.
Oh, really?
Did you notice that pattern?
Yeah, well, I didn't really conceptualize it as effort quantities. I just conceptualized it as like so before that period, I was just sort of more streaming and I didn't really have a vision of it. I was just trying to like figure it out. And at that point I sort of had like more of like I know what a good stream looks like to me. And so maybe that's more high effort. Right, but it wasn't like I was trying to.
I mean, like I'm talking about the videos. I'm not talking about the effort you put into streams. I'm just saying that like you used to release videos more frequently, and you put less effort into them.
I think I should do more of those.
Yeah, I'm just advocating because I think that you need a bit more velocity because right now you haven't made anything in a while, and now you're saying that you're working on an essay and a song, all these things, and. Of all the people inside of our like little wing of the internet, you seem to be the most okay with releasing things and not thinking they were perfect at the time, and that was like an asset. So I'm just pushing you to do it more. That's all.
Okay, yeah, good idea. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to do any other sign-off things with one another before?
I can't kiss you.
You can.
I can't.
Later.
Okay. Good night, baby.
Good night.
Bye.
Love you, darling.
Yeah. That was TunaChip. TunaChip on Twitch. I believe TunaChip TV on YouTube. Let's get over here. Maybe hold on a second. Hold on, Steel Rain. Don't listen to me. Just listen to me. Hold on a second. Yeah. Oh, Steel Rain's not a band. Steel Rain is a fucking random PS1 game with a soundtrack that sounds neat that I put in a folder called Music. And then I was like, oh, Steel Rain. And I'll put on a fucking song, and then I'll play you guys out with it, and I'll fucking say something. I don't know what it'll just fucking come to me. And I know exactly what it is that I'm going to tell you all about. I'm going to tell you all about how I decided to choose this song, and now I'm playing it for you, and now you're listening to it. Now you listen to me right on top of it. What the fuck? So have a good day. Have a good night. I will be speaking to Drew on Friday morning. Don't let the beg bugs bite. That's right, bitch. Don't let them bite! Have a good night.